Hi, this is Pre-Algebra, lesson 4-2. Connect percent and proportion. In this lesson, you'll be able to use proportions to solve percent problems. Let's look at solve and discuss it. A florist is making flower arrangements for a party. He uses purple and white flowers in a ratio of 3 purple flowers to 1 white flower. How many flowers will he need in order to make 30 arrangements? Oh. Okay, do you see the proportion relationship, the proportional relationship? How are the number of purple flowers related to the number of white flowers? Right, a ratio of 3 purple flowers to 1 white flower. So every time you see 3 purple flowers, you'll see 1 white flower. Okay, so let's write a proportion to represent this proportional relationship. So 1 out of 4 flower would be white, or you could do 3 out of 4 would be purple, right? So think about how many flowers will he need in order to make 30 identical arrangements. Okay, so he uses purple and white flowers ratio of 3 to 1. So 1 flower, okay. Wait, 1 white flower. There's 1 white flower out of 4 flowers, 4 total flowers, not 4 purple flowers, okay? 1 white, 3 purple, total 4 flowers. So you'll see that this is how many percent? 25%. Okay, 1 out of 4. And so your proportion could be 1 over 4 is equal to the total number over x, the total white or arrangement over x, because this is one arrangement. One arrangement has 1 white flower. Where you can choose purple flowers, but it's going to be 3, and 3 times 30 would be 90. So you're dealing with bigger numbers, so it's easier to just choose an easier number. Okay, 1 white flower out of 4 flowers would be 30 arrangements. How many total flowers would you see is a question, right? So 30 is equal to 25% times n, or wait, let's match the variables, x. Okay, so x is going to be how many flowers? Times x on both sides, and then times 4 on both sides. And then you have x is equal to 30 times 4. Okay, so 120. 120 flowers is going to be the total flowers for 30 arrangements. Okay, so let's look at focus on math practices. If the florist can only buy white flowers in groups of flowers that have 3 white flowers and 2 red flowers, how many red flowers would the florist have to purchase? Explain your answer. She's gonna use 3 purple flowers and 1 white flowers, right? But when she buys flowers in order to make arrangements, she can only buy 3 white flowers and 2 red flowers together. So you're gonna find a ratio that's equivalent to 3 over 2 that has 30 as the first term, and the number of red flowers will be the second term in the equivalent ratio. So explain. Okay, why 30? Because initially we wanted 30 arrangements, right? So it goes with the previous question. So in order to solve this, 3 over 2 is equivalent to 30 over how many red flowers, right? 2 red flowers for each white flower, right? 3 white flower. So when 3 white flowers become 30, right? Because with 3 white flowers, you can make 3 arrangements. and you want 30 arrangements, right? You just want 3 become 30. And you're going to buy 10 of them, right? Times 10. So 2 times 10 is n. Okay? So n is 10. Wait, n is 20. Okay? But the steps for that would be times n, and then times your reciprocal 2/3. Okay, so your n is equal to 30 times 2/3, which is 20. Okay, this is just a preview of the lesson. So the essential question for this lesson is, how does proportional reasoning relate to percent? Let's look at example 1. Use a proportion to find the percent. The basketball team's statisticians track the shots Emily made and the shots she missed during the last game. What percent of attempted shots did she make? Okay, so you see the blue and purple, right? Blue is shots made, purple is shots missed. How many of them do you see? You have 9 shots made, and you have 1, 2, 3 shots missed, and total you have 12 attempted shots, right? So make a bar diagram in order to visually see it. 12 is total attempted, and 9 shots is how many she made. Okay, and so how many they made. So 9 out of 12 would be the proportion. And you want to find the statistics, which is usually a percentage, right? So change that into a fraction, that is a ratio that is out of 100. And then once you get 100, you can say, oh, it's going to be 75%, right? 9 out of 12 is 75%. So Emily made 75% of her shots would be what the statistician would say. So let's look at the try question. Try if you can solve this by yourself and come back when you're ready for answers. Camilla makes 2 of her 5 shots attempted. Is the percent of shots she made more than, less than, or same as Emily's percent of shots? First, you need to figure out the percent in order to compare with Emily's percent of shots. Emily has 75%. So if you have a greater percentage than 75, then you made more than. If it's less than that, it's less than, or if it's the same as 75, it's the same, right? So let's write the proportion. 2 out of 5 is equal to percentage over 100. And then you can change 2 out of 5 into a decimal. 0.4 is equal to P over 100. And so 0.4 times 100 would be, they kind of skipped that, would be P. 0.4 times 100 is simply 40. So 40% is Camilla's shot. Camilla made 40% of her shots. So her percent of the shots made is less than Emily's, sadly. Okay, convince me, a hockey goalie stops 37 out of 40 shots. What percent of attempted goals did she stop? So you want to write the proportion again, 37 out of 40. Change that to a percentage. Okay, so what is P? You can multiply 100 on both sides. And 37 times 100 divided by 40 would be your percentage. Okay, you can simplify these and say, oh, I can just multiply 37 by 10 and divide it by 4. And that's going to be about 92.5. So 92.5% would be the percentage of the hockey goalie. Okay, so now we learned how to use proportion to find the percent. Let's look at example 2. We're going to use a proportion to find the part. We're going to go the other way. Okay, let's look at this plan. A plan to expand Megan's room will make the length of the room 175% of the current length. So current length would be considered 100%. Okay, what will be the new length of her room? So this plan is going to add this dotted part to her room. So this bold part is her room right now, which is represented as 100%. And she's going to add 75% of the room to get total 175 of the original length. Okay, so this is 100%. That's 75%. Total, everything is going to be 175 of the original one. Okay, so in bar diagram, you have 100%, which is 4 meters, and then 175% is going to be n meters. Okay, so if you start with 4 meters of her length, what would be the final meters? What would be her final length after the remodeling, right? You can use a proportion. Again, you're going to always put the original length on the 100% on the bottom of the fraction, okay? 100%. So out of is going to be, out of the original is going to be your original, your 100%, right? So new length over old length is equal to P over 100, okay? So n over 4, because you don't know the new length, that's the new length, n over 4 is equal to 175 over 100. You solve the proportion, n is 7. Your new length would be 7 meters. Okay, so first set up the proportion and solve it, write it in units. Example 3, use a proportion to find the whole. Let's look at the nutrition label here. It shows the percentage of the recommended daily intake for nutrients found in a serving of a soy milk. How many milligrams of calcium should you consume each day? Okay, so first we're going to write a percent proportion to find the amount of calcium. In the label, it says that calcium of 260 milligrams would be about 20% of the daily intake. You need 100% daily intake, right? So you're going to write a proportion using calcium per serving over the daily value, which you're trying to figure out. So that's going to be our variable W, is equal to the percentage, which is 20 out of 100. Okay, and then solve that proportion for W, and W is 1,300 milligrams. Okay, that sounds like a lot, but it's not really. Milligrams is really small. Okay, and so our daily intake for calcium would be 1,300 milligrams. So let's look at try a question. See if you can do them, see if you can solve them by yourself. Come back when you have answers. Megan's room is expanded, so the width is 150% of 3 meters. So it's expanded, it gets bigger. What is the new width? So your proportions should be what? 150 out of 100 is equal to 3 is your original one, right? So you want to find the new width. That is W. So new width over 3, okay? Because that's out of 100. And then you figure out the width by multiplying 3 for both sides. And you can simplify that fraction. And 3 times 15 is 45 divided by 10 is the width. So the width is about 4.5 meters. It is exactly 4.5 meters. That is your new length. So new width. So from 3 meters, it expanded half as much, so that's 150, and it became 4.5. It makes sense because half of 3 is 1.5. All right, part B, use the soy milk label in example 3. What is the recommended amount of iron needed each day? Round your answer to the nearest mg, milligram. Okay, so use the label here. Look at the iron part. Iron is 8 milligrams, and that's 45% of the daily intake. So you don't need to take as many iron as calcium each day. Okay, so write a proportion. You have 8 milligrams. Wait, your percentage is 45 out of 100, right? And 8 is 45 out of 100, and you don't know how many you need for the daily. So that's going to be X, okay? And then solve for X. You're going to multiply X on both sides, and then you're going to multiply the reciprocal of the fraction both sides. And then you have X is equal to 8 times 100 over 45. And that is about 18. So 18 milligrams would be the daily intake, recommended daily intake for the iron. Okay, so in this lesson, we learned how to connect percent and proportion. Percent problems represent a kind of proportional relationship. You can use proportional reasoning to solve percent problems. All right, great job, everyone. I'll see you in the next video, in the next lesson. Bye.